For years, one idea dominated American technology policy toward China. If you deny China the most advanced tools, it will fall behind. As late as 2023, this belief was still being stated openly. At a major U.S. defense forum, America's Commerce Secretary made it clear that cutting China off from advanced semiconductors wasn't a debate anymore. It was a decision. The logic was simple. Modern power, whether it's military, economic, or digital, runs on chips. And whoever controls the tools to make those chips controls the future. So the United States moved beyond just competing with China and into a strategy of containment. Washington's plan wasn't just about American companies, it was built on something much more powerful: alliances. The Netherlands and Japan, home to the world's most critical semiconductor equipment makers, became the linchpins of this strategy. Together, these countries controlled the machinery needed to manufacture the most advanced chips on the planet. And at the heart of this entire system was one company, ASML, a Dutch firm with a near-total monopoly over the machines required to make cutting-edge semiconductors. These machines are so complex that no other company, not in the US, not in Japan, has ever successfully replicated them. The theory was clear. Deny China access to those machines, and you could delay its technological rise for years. At least, that was the theory. But by the end of 2024, something unexpected happened. The very same U.S. official who had championed these aggressive restrictions admitted that the policy had failed. The export controls hadn't stopped China. They hadn't even meaningfully slowed it down. In fact, they produced the exact opposite effect. China accelerated. Instead of relying on foreign suppliers, Beijing went all in on self-sufficiency, pouring enormous resources into developing its own domestic semiconductor industry. And soon, the results started to show. To understand why this is such a big deal, you need to understand what these lithography machines actually do. Every single chip, from the one in your smartphone to the one in a fighter jet, is created by etching microscopic patterns onto a silicon wafer. This process is done using light. Older machines use what's called deep ultraviolet light, or DUV. They're capable, but they have their limits. The most advanced chips, however, require something else entirely: extreme ultraviolet light, or EUV. This technology is so incredibly difficult to control that it took decades of international research just to make it work, and ASML is the only company in the world that ever succeeded. Each EUV machine contains hundreds of thousands of components sourced from specialized suppliers across Europe, the US, and Asia. No single engineer understands the entire system. That incredible complexity was supposed to make it impossible for anyone to copy. So when access to EUV machines was blocked, China didn't just give up, it adapted. First, Chinese companies bought up as many of the older DUV machines as they could while they were still available. Some were stockpiled for later use. Others were pushed to their absolute limits, using advanced manufacturing techniques to squeeze out every last drop of performance. That step alone allowed China to reach technological milestones that many experts believed were impossible without EUV. Then came the second phase. China began attempting something no country had ever successfully done before: building its own lithography ecosystem from the ground up. This monumental effort was backed by massive state funding, meticulous long-term planning, and aggressive recruitment of experienced engineers, including specialists who had previously worked inside major foreign semiconductor firms. Then, in late 2024 and early 2025, the rumors started. Reports emerged that China had quietly developed its own experimental lithography systems. And then came the revelation that truly stunned the entire industry. According to investigative reporting, Chinese researchers had assembled a prototype system capable of generating extreme ultraviolet light, the single hardest part of the entire EUV puzzle. This project was conducted under extraordinary secrecy, It was hidden away in restricted facilities with teams that were compartmentalized, working on different pieces of the puzzle without seeing the whole picture. Strict information controls were in place to prevent any leaks. Now, to be clear, this was not a production-ready machine, not even close, but it was something far more important. It was proof. Proof that the technological barrier that was supposed to be absolute wasn't. Even if China remains years behind ASML in terms of performance and reliability, the implications are profound, because monopolies in technology don't just collapse overnight, they erode. Think about it. Japan once dominated consumer electronics. Europe once led the world in mobile phones. The US once assumed that chip manufacturing itself would never leave its borders. In each case, control faded gradually, and then all at once. China doesn't need to match ASML tomorrow. It only needs to prove that catching up is possible. And once that belief starts to spread, the global balance of power begins to shift. Even Japan, with its decades of experience, tried and failed to build its own EUV systems. Many Western experts still argue that China faces nearly insurmountable obstacles, but history offers a powerful warning. When a country treats technology access as a weapon, it often forces its rival to innovate faster, not slower. So the question is no longer whether China can buy the future from someone else. The real question is, can China build it on its own? And how long will it take? Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the technology shaping our world.